Today, Zimbabwe's main opposition party, the Movement for Democratic Change, the MDC, is holding a rally in a rural electorate close to the Mozambique border. People have walked for hours to listen to candidates campaigning for local office, the national parliament and the presidential seat itself.
You were threatened that if you attend this rally, you are going to be punished. Gun or no gun, border gazi or no border gazi, sure. The Zimbabwe children are ready to march so that they get their freedom.
Despite this event having official approval, people are nervous. For politics in Zimbabwe has a lethal history. Many thousands who have opposed the decades-old regime of President Robert Mugabe have been killed or disappeared. Millions have been forced to flee. Mistrust of the nation's security forces runs deep. And this gathering is keen to show that they know they're being monitored. I've come back to Zimbabwe on a tourist visa, a risky proposition for a journalist, but the only way to cover an election campaign in which only a chosen uncritical few stand any chance of last-minute accreditation.
Hurumende MDC haidi maborder gezi. Saka kuti une hama yeborder gezi enda mutaurire kuti pay yako inogumisira musi wa 30 March.
Mishek Kagurabadza was once the mayor of Matari, the capital of the rural province of Manicaland. We meet later at the home of an MDC supporter as Mishek Kagurabadza watches news on state TV.
Stories making the headlines in this bulletin. President Robert Mugabe has urged Zimbabweans to consolidate the legacy left behind by the country's liberation war heroes. And
as expected, President Mugabe and his ruling ZANU-PF party features prominently.
These people you are seeing at the rallies, ZANU-PF rallies, they're not coming on their own accord. Either they've been threatened that if they don't attend, certain repercussions will be, applied on them, or they have come because they've been promised that they are going to get meal, or cooking oil, or some basics free of charge.
So thousands of farmers receiving tractors, plows, and a wide range of agricultural equipment.
Land has defined Zimbabwean politics for decades, and now, almost 30 years after gaining independence from Britain, it remains the #1 item on the president's agenda. Today, he's handing out tractors to black farmers as he rails against Zimbabwe's former colonial power, Britain.
They say we have robbed their sons and daughters of their land, not our land.
News should bring something that has not been heard of. That's news. That's the definition of news, anything that you have not heard of. But they're talking about the land since 2000. So this is no longer news at all. It's more of propaganda than news.
Land seized from white commercial farmers and meant for landless blacks has ended up in the hands of the ruling elite. It's pitted black and white Zimbabweans against each other, caused economic ruin and millions to flee.
Their behaviour was appalling. Everybody had their eyes on stores.
Lynn Evans is one of the few white farmers remaining in Zimbabwe.
So, we've got partners, we've got foreign investors, we've got an indigenous investor. We actually quite nicely set up things.
But meeting the government's black empowerment criteria was not enough to protect her or her partners from farm invaders. 5 weeks ago, her farm was seized by a senior government and ZANU-PF official. But she's fought the case, winning a High Court eviction order. Today she's on her way to reclaim her farm. It's a risky mission. I'm filming secretly as we have a policeman with us who does not know I am a journalist.
You know, I would like to think that there's a bit of respect for the High Court order now, and they have been evicted, and that we don't have an incident. So, but you actually never know that.
Police moved yesterday to evict the invaders. Lynn Evans' mission today is to take stock of what's left. She finds the name of her farm has been changed.
Oh my word, it's Mushambi Farm now. Wow, our guys have cleared the logs.
And is that the name of your farm?
Was it blocked?
It was blocked. They were here yesterday. The deputy sheriff was here yesterday trying to get in, and it was blocked.
But we don't get very far onto the farm, for the farm invaders have come back. And it appears they have no intention of heeding the High Court's decision ordering them from the property. With no phone signal and no way to call for help, a decision to retreat is made. But we're not quick enough. A tractor appears from nowhere and blocks our retreat. They target James, a friend of Lynn, who is on his own in another vehicle.
That's Mangondo.
He's
James
trying
wants
to
swatch. It makes you sick.
It's exactly this. They wanted to get them in behind us and block us from getting out of there.
James, sit tight, huh? We're here with the police. Yeah, morning, Mr. Mangondo. We're here with a member of...
Mr. Mangondo is in charge of the farm invaders. He is a war veteran and a local ZANU-PF leader.
You are not the first one to take this place. You are playing with this land. Huh? Go and call Mr. Mugabe.
He refuses to accept the High Court ruling, saying the only authority he'll accept is from the very top, President Robert Mugabe.
What about the High Court?
There's no High Court in this land.
There's no High Court.
There's no High Court. Go and call President Mugabe. Come here. If you want to...
Told to leave, then blocked from doing so. Then the invaders whistle up reinforcements.
Go and call Mr. Mugabe. Mami Chinguri, one. Mr. Nyambwe.
There's a whole bunch of people coming. And despite the High Court order, we are chased away.
James, Mr. Head. Go, James. No. James. Okay, they try to grab his keys. Wind your window up. Sandy, go. Sandy, get in your car. We're watching. Let's go.
James, drive off.
He's going to throw a rock behind at the window.
Broga.
No, come now, Mr. Mangondo.
Broga.
We are not going back here. Stupid.
He's just told you to go, now he wants to block you. Okay, it's me, let's go. Go. Go, Lynn. I'm worried about Chris. He's going the other way. He's fine. He's heading the other way. Okay, watch James. Just hang on, slow down. Watch James. Come on, James. Chris has gone the other way, okay?
From a safe position down the road, tactics are discussed.
I think we must just head, really, because they're
not going to achieve anything.
And the women were starting. No. But you know what? They've also given our labour a hard time, so we just need to get out of here.
Yeah. This is the story. We went there, they blocked the road and they wouldn't let us in. Now they must get arrested.
Yeah.
if the law is going to follow the course.
This is a chapter where Mugabe is using color. This is a chapter in the whole range of a big book of Zimbabwe, where Mugabe is using color, where Mugabe is using white color so that he can get a vote.
You saw that pit? We closed at the moment, but we will do. We're just waiting for the elections.
Brian James is a second-generation Zimbabwean who took up farming after hearing Mugabe's independence speech in 1980, calling for the nation to pull together. It's not safe to film openly outdoors, so I'm using a hidden camera. He was run off his farm a decade ago and now stands to lose his business, an abattoir, and the only one in this province, which used to service the region and the capital, Harare.
This is the main abattoir floor, separated from small stock to the bovine.
With the government last year imposing price controls overnight and now threatening to nationalise all white-owned companies, businesses have collapsed across the country. Brian James is running on empty. He's waiting on the election result to decide his next move.
And no intention of restarting it until after the elections. There isn't the livestock available to us to warrant opening it and refurbishing it.
But Brian James is no passive observer. Angered over what's happened to his country, he's running as a candidate for the opposition Movement for Democratic Change. This region has long supported the opposition, but 2 years ago, unable to exert control, the government sacked the council. Brian James sees this election as his last chance.
I lost a farm. This business that we try to keep going has more or less been trashed because of the price controls. Inflation has pushed us under as well, and I see a positive, free and fair election as a way forward, and I'm prepared to work for it.
And while campaigning is a risky proposition, the real danger is likely to come after the election.
One has to think that there are elements here that think that there is only one party that can rule this country. The other side of the coin is that and in my opinion, the vast majority of people know what the sentiment is, and we believe that the last 3 elections have been won by the MDC. If they suddenly find themselves waking up on the Sunday morning and it's more of the same, it's difficult to judge what their reaction will be.
For ordinary Zimbabweans, the election is a sideshow to the daily grind of survival. This once proud nation now has the world's lowest life expectancy and the world's highest inflation rate, officially at more than 100,000%. Prices are now calculated in the millions of dollars.
What's the smallest note you've got now? 10,000.
But people are refusing it because it's not buying anything.
Yeah.
So people are saying, no, we cannot take it.
Thank you.
Okay.
At independence in 1980, the Zimbabwean dollar was equal to the US dollar. This is what it costs today to buy a single banana.
And what are how much for the bananas?
2 million.
2 million.
With food subsidies scrapped, gone are the queues of a few months ago when people would scrum for cooking oil and bread and ground maize known as mealie meal. This store caters for the well-heeled, but its goods are out of reach for all but the very rich, the party faithful, or those who have access to foreign currency.
This supermarket is one of the few that is completely well stocked. It's all imported goods. But to give you an idea of what this is worth, this bottle of tomato sauce costs more than what a person here earns in a month.
With the situation deteriorating by the day, watching President Mugabe eat cake at his birthday bash in February was particularly galling for millions of hungry Zimbabweans.
Well, it's very terrible. I'm a family man. How can I splash a birthday and spend trillions of dollars when my family is suffering?
While Mugabe eats cake, this man survives by eating the town's rubbish. And these scavengers pay for the right to sift through the town's garbage in the hope of finding anything to recycle. Getting enough to eat is a problem. Getting sick is something most cannot afford.
I've often told people at the rallies that if you want a few days of life, it's better to go to a Nganga, African traditional healer, than to go to a medical hospital. Because the moment you go there, that's the end of it.
Once the pride of Africa, offering free healthcare for all, Zimbabwe's hospitals are now an embarrassment the government does not want the world to see. To be caught with a camera here would almost certainly guarantee imprisonment. And to protect the doctor, we've changed his voice.
What's supplied by the hospital? Anything?
Well, everything used to be supplied by the hospital.
The nurses.
Virtually nothing else at the moment. There are pharmacies which are empty. It's actually very difficult. She's a stage 4 cancer, so she's on hormonal therapy. She'll be going for radiotherapy
and she can afford
that's in Harare. Chemotherapy we do here, but she won't be able to afford it. How's your pain?
Still there, but
she's in pain and she's got no money to buy what I've prescribed.
For many Zimbabweans, survival has meant fleeing the country. But getting out is not easy. People started queuing here early this morning to apply for travel documents.
How long have you been queuing this morning? What time did you get here?
3:30.
3:30 this morning?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Only emergency documents are issued, a lengthy process aimed at limiting the numbers leaving the country for neighbouring states. Passports allowing travel further afield can take years to get. Hoping he'll get his passport today, this man applied more than 2 years ago.
Do you think you're going to look the same as your photo from before?
Yeah.
It's estimated that more than a quarter of the country has fled, the majority to neighbouring South Africa. Political analyst Maletsi Mbeki, the brother of South Africa's President Thabo Mbeki, says this election is a farce for many reasons, not least the number of people denied the right to vote.
As I say, the election is a charade because the population is not there. The population is outside the country. The large part of the adult population is not in Zimbabwe, and there is no provision for them to vote from where they are. And then, of course, the electoral roll is controlled by Mugabe, not by an independent electoral commission, even for the few Zimbabweans who remain at home. So really, as I say, the election in Zimbabwe is a caricature of an election.
As a sign of the deepening anger and disillusionment inside the country, there have been a number of coup attempts against President Mugabe. This man does not wish his real name be used. He fled to South Africa last year. A former presidential guard, he was once willing to put his life on the line for Robert Mugabe, but no more. He admits to being part of a failed coup attempt last year, which has since led to the mysterious deaths of a number of high-ranking soldiers and the disappearance of possibly hundreds of others.
When you were told about the coup, who told you and what did they say you were going to have to do?
Lieutenant esasenza la kwesikole so nginikeza udaba lalo sokusele iviki ukuthi uMgabe ehamba aphume evakatshele eMalaysia so zasinikeza simile sithethe iplan ayithole kuma-orders abehamba besanikeza almost every ekuseni ama-commanders abekhona na.
He is the first member of the Presidential Guard to speak publicly about the coup attempt.
Sonke bakhanya beluthabile ngoba sasitoluthabela ngoba ingakhela ilife yethu njengamasotsha ekhaya ngathi nje sesigcina njengomkhulu welizwe but imali saseziphiwa everything okukhona so seluthabela ngoba sesikwazi singakwanisa ukuyenza lokho maybe singabhadala into ezinhle.
But it's not just political refugees who are fleeing the country. Chido is the eldest child in her family. She left hoping to find a job to send money home. But her travel money ran out when she got to the border. Two women who offered to help her cross over to South Africa ended up selling her to a people smuggler to pay for their own journey across.
As soon as they went out, he switched off and we were alone. He said, I have to sleep with you so that I'll let you cross. And then I ended up giving in, but it wasn't what I wanted. It was against my will.
But he didn't help, and she ended up walking through the bush at night to cross over a few weeks later. She didn't know then that her rapist had made her pregnant.
When I came here, I tried to work because I wanted to have an abortion. That's what I wanted. But now, people, they say it's too late, you can't do it because I think I'm almost 8 months. I don't know what's going to happen to the baby, but all I'm praying for is if I could get help, I get the baby, what's needed for the baby. As soon as I give birth, I promise, I know that myself, I'm a hard worker. I'll look for a job. I can do anything.
The Methodist Church in central Johannesburg is the first port of call for many Zimbabweans fleeing their country. Each night, hundreds sleep here, packed into a building with half a dozen toilets. Bishop Paul Vereen says South Africa is not taking the human rights abuses across its border seriously enough.
People often leave Zimbabwe because of some fairly serious violation of their human rights because they're not belonging to the ruling party, to ZANU-PF. They come to this country and then they're hunted.
And that's a situation likely to continue, in part due to indifference by Zimbabwe's neighbours. Political analyst Mishek Kagurabadza admits his views are at odds with his brother, South Africa's President Thabo Mbeki.
What do you say to your brother about it? You must have interesting discussions about Zimbabwe.
No, we don't have interesting discussions about Zimbabwe. He has his views, I have mine, we don't agree, and that's all there is to it.
Mishek Kagurabadza says if President Mugabe remains in office, there can only be one outcome.
Well, the Zimbabweans, unfortunately or fortunately for them, they have an escape route, which is South Africa. You'll just have more mass migration out of Zimbabwe into South Africa and into Botswana and the neighboring countries.
President Robert Mugabe has vowed to remain in office for life. But he's facing the biggest challenge to his 28-year rule. His opponents are confident that given a free and fair election, it would deliver them victory. But the right to vote is not guaranteed. And even for those able to cast ballots, that's only the first step. Protecting the outcome may be the ultimate decider.